ultimate super coach and fantasy sports show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Boom shakalaka!
Yes, welcome back. You're watching the Insight 2K show where we talk all things ANZPL. I'm your host, the Super Coach Horse, and with me, just stepping us up another level, is our man Deadly. How you doing, mate?
Good, mate. Good, mate. Here, we're back again. Another week. Got 2 rounds to cover. I'm bloody keen.
Yeah, it's finals week.
Yes.
So, unfortunately, your blokes didn't make it, but there's been a fair bit going on this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we couldn't get it done, and yeah, it is what it is. But what can you do? Besides watch some good NBA basketball that's going on with playoffs, and there's been a few bit of rivalries going on, bit of trash talk here and there, and yeah, some good series all up.
No, it's been good. And for those of you that have been watching the finals, and we will go through each scorecard, there were some upsets that we'll go through, including a team that only last year went through a season and may not have won a game for the season.
Yeah.
And now they're making round 2 of the playoffs. So we're going to get stuck into that fairly shortly. But of course, our show today is brought to you by the Standard Squeeze, who have been with us since day one. Jump on the website, standardsqueeze.com, and put in the code IFS15 to get yourself 15% off everything that they have in store. Today, we go through ladders, stats leaders, and the playoff tree, which are all brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead. And we're going to go through semi-final matchups, conference finals matchups, and a lead into our grand final week where we will be commentating the game live to you at home. And also we will have the very first Insight Fantasy Sports MVP and All-Star squads coming to you live from our podcast. Mate, without further ado, let's just get stuck straight into it, mate.
Absolutely.
So, Deadly, run us through Group A to start with, mate. And how did that finish up?
Yeah, no real shock with the first seeding being no way out. They've been the best team for however long, and they're showing it again, only losing one game all up, which was actually the forfeit game, if we remember, that Matty missed by 12 minutes.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
right.
they only lost one game all up. Run the break too, finishing second. Great season from them, only losing 2 games to no way out, obviously.
Yep.
But yeah, very, very solid from them. Pookie Bears, very solid as well, 14-5 to finish up third. Relentless and Low Key, both finishing 11-9, but Relentless just scraping in off point differential. Very solid from them boys. We see Fuero Esports, 9-10. Very good
That's
point
an improvement
differential
out of them as well.
Absolutely, yep. Lethal as well, 9-10 as well. And then we see New Vegets, Sugar Plums, and Rise all down towards the end in the unfortunate spot that some teams have to be in.
That's right. Group B, we see Exy finishing equal top with Full Court Press, although Exy have the better percentage, so they take the 1 seed there. SWAT and Crayons round out the top 4 with Show No Mercy, unfortunately missing out there. The Sanctuary going at 500 for the season, Jimmy Cuso, and the boys will be happy with that season. That's an improvement out of them. The Toenails, I feel like they'll be disappointed with the 7-14 season, and they'll bounce back in season 10, round 2 next season. The Swingers, Liabilities, and the Queen's Guard round out Group B in the Eastern Conference. For the Western Conference, Deadly, we see probably the biggest surprise team finishing the 1 seed in Group A, and that's D-Tier.
Yeah, a bit of a surprise team. I mean, yeah, they've no one really would have tipped them to come first, especially in a group that contains Ruthless and Unknown and teams like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Lemons, Hakaru, all them boys, they shined all season, and yeah, 18-2 finish the 1 seed, very good from them. Ruthless coming in second. Probably that Series 2 Unknown is probably the reason they came above them. But yeah, we see Unknown in third, hell of a point differential as well. And yeah, Cancun, the real shock for the season.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, they've been very solid, and yeah, 12-8 shows that. We see Bane's Effect, who, yeah, one of the better teams in that conference, finishing 500. Ice Hot as well, also finishing 500. MILF Hunters, 6-14. A bit of an unfortunate season from them, but they'll get better. Asylum, Takeover, and Prophecy, all with 4 wins only. But yeah, they'll be back, I'd assume.
Yeah, you would think so. And in Group B, we see NZ Black finishing top with 18-2 and a healthy percentage. The Pals second, Hooligans at 13-7, and Sans Diua a staple in the top four. Usually, most seasons we see them finishing fourth with a 14-9 record. Goon Nation, your boys at 12-8, unfortunately just missing out there. Thanos Squad finishing at 500, and then we have Mailman Jelly Squad, Reach for VC, and Kiss My TNS rounding out Group B in the Western Conference. Here we have the league leaders for the season, Deadly. And if you had have brought up these names at the start of the season, we'll talk points first. So you got Micah got Aura that's won the points per game for the season with 28.1. If you had have said that himself, I Pass Fake, Brookers, Lemons, and even Lillard were the top five, you probably would have thought I was taking the piss, mate. But these guys have been playing really well.
Yeah, absolutely. At the start of the season, you probably could have said, someone like a Brookers or a Lillard, these very score-heavy point guards would be somewhere up here, but maybe not top five. And yeah, Micah's first place finish in points is definitely aided by his 84 points that he dropped earlier in the season.
For sure.
But yeah, very, very good season for him, and full court presses, backcourt, both of them being in the top five just shows a lot about how they've been playing as a team. Pass Fake, he's been one of the better players this whole season, definitely in contention for MVP, and same with Lemons as well, very solid players.
For sure. We'll go down there. Stats leaders. We see Lemons finishing second with 2.8 steals per game, 2 from the Hash. Awareness 2K, we brought him up a few times playing with the Sanctuary, 3.5 steals per game. Unreal for, a sharp to be getting those sorts of steals per game. Then we see Danny, Air Champ, and King Laggy rounding out the top five there. We'll jump across to assists, and we see Patch SJ with 12.2, really leading the helpers there. Clutters with 10.9. Hackaroo doesn't just score, but also sets up his teammates really well as well with a 10.8 for the season. Dennis Phoenix, or for those of you in the game, Greek Iverson with 10.6, and Will Moven with 10.4. With the blocks, mate, we see Junkie, everyone's favourite grinder, in the number one spot.
Yeah, solid season from Junkie. Yeah, he was one of the better players for Santura all season, and shows here getting his blocks up. See Zion SD, very, very solid from him playing power forward for Show No Mercy. Euquatus as well, just another one of them full court press boys that's had a really solid season. Faraj up there, he's always up there in one of these stats. And Clack's one of the better anchors in the whole game, up there at blocks as well. It's no real shock there.
Yep. Spot on, mate. We'll go across before we touch on rebounds. We'll go to the percentage leaders down the bottom, and we see Senses or Sunset, is it?
Sunset.
Yeah, at 83, nearly 84%. That's awesome when you're talking him. Kristaps, both above 80%. Give or take, either one could have won this, but Sunset, congratulations, mate. You did finish number one. Snakey with 79.3, Lockeye with 77.6, and Mosby Goon with 77.3, reading out the top five. 3-point leaders or percentage leaders, Deadly. Brooklyn Carter with 60, not nearly 70% from three. That's awesome.
Do not leave him open, apparently.
No.
You never really would have picked it, but then I went back and had a look at the stats, and he was shooting 4 for 5, 5 for 5, stuff like that every single game, 1 for 1, just stuff like that, and it all adds up, and almost shooting 70% in a game that's very, very hard to shoot from the corner. He's had a very solid season, so shout out to him. Heaney as well, very solid shooting performances from him in the regular season. We'll get to a little bit of a mishap that he had in the playoffs. We see Martin there for Ice Hot, very solid as well. Huffa Kookie on the Hash from Toenails, very solid to shoot 58% from the Hash. And Sensei as well, just getting better, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. We'll jump across straight into the free throws, and there's no real need to go through there. We see Ozark, Whiskey Toxic, Dennis Phoenix, Hackaroo, and Brookers, 100%.
Yeah, probably with about 60 other players.
Yeah, that's right. So with rebounds as well, Kristaps, no real surprise, leading the way with 17.5. Sunsets, 15.5. X Delaney, 14.3. And then we've got G-Force, who was probably, for me, the biggest improver when we're talking the center spot this season, with 14.1, and Reefan with 13.9, rounding out the top five. Now that we've finished statistics-wise, mate, do you want to get stuck into some games?
Let's do it.
Before we do, though, we're going to go through the playoff tree. So here we see the first round. We see NZ Black are going to be playing Cancun, Ruthless against Unknown, Hooligans against the Pals, D-Tier versus Sans Dua, and then across in the Eastern Conference, No Way Out versus Relentless, Full Court Press versus the Pookie Bears, Exy versus SWAT, and Run the Break versus the Crayons in our first round of action. Mate, round one, Cancun versus NZ Black. This was a massive upset for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is a huge
NZ
upset.
Black only lost 2 games in the regular season.
Yeah, and then they just fall to a bit of a powerhouse that Cancun has shown to be recently, especially. They start out the season slow, but they've picked it up and they've become one of the better teams in the whole league, Cancun.
Chemistry, yeah.
Yeah, it's really shone here. Very solid from the boys over at Cancun. Up 8 seed upset versus first. You don't see that much, especially in 2K, let alone IRL basketball, anything sort of like that. But yeah, game one, we see NZ Black actually taking game one. Flu Meadow 27 and 13 from the point guard spot. Very solid game from
Very
him.
solid.
Helped along with Horsey 19 and 14 from him. Sensei again 10 points for him. But yeah, very solid game one for NZ as they win with Cancun having Shot Moist 13 and 9 from him. J Strap 13 and 5. And G Force as well helping along with a double. King Laggy with 17 at the corner, but it just wasn't enough in game one. But as we know, it didn't matter.
Did not matter. So we see game 2, Cancun bounce back with a strong second half, outscoring the boys NZ Black by 6 points to win by 4 points, 65-61, with J Strap 25 and 6 from the hash from 8 from 9 shooting. Shot Moist 18 and 6. G Force inside 13 and 12 with 3, 1 and 1, filling up the box score. Not overly efficient from the field, but still did the job. Flew from the PG spot 35 and 11. No one else really, like, we were both watching this series, mate, and Solomona's voice was really good, but yeah, Cancun just got the better of him, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think that team chemistry rules. We even had
does.
Mona on a few weeks ago in talking about chemistry and talking and all this stuff. And yeah, Cancun, just the team chemistry, it just all came together right at the right time for him.
That's right. And as we see game 3, game 3, 40 to 36. So
spread last start of the last quarter. Mona lagged out, obviously, which we'll have the last quarter in the next screenshot. But yeah, here in the first 3 quarters, we see J Strap putting together another very solid game from him. 18, 1 and 6 from the hash spot, 4 for 4 from 3. G4 started out his first 3 quarters very solid, 12, 7 and 3 blocks as well. Mona with 10 and 10. Flew with 8 and 9, but on pretty poor shooting splits. But if we move along to the last quarter, we see NZ Black actually, I believe, won the last quarter, but just not
because they were
enough
behind
with
by 4 points.
a 4-point spread. Couldn't make it up, and just very solid way to close out the series from Cancun, and they'll be chuffed with that. And why wouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And some exposure in the second round of the playoffs against a good team as well will do them the world of good, not just for their chemistry, but, self-belief to know that they do belong. And, the year or so that they had struggling down the bottom to stick together to work through those issues to now being a playoff team, it's a credit to them for sticking fat.
Yep.
Here we have No Way Out versus Relentless, 2-0 the way of No Way Out. No real surprises here, was there, Deadly?
No, absolutely not. We see Harry being Harry game 1, 25, 11 and 3 on perfect 3-point shooting, 10 from 11 from the field. Golden Dunk, very solid game from him. 17, 6 and 5 out of him from the corner. Chris Stapps again, 20, 18 and 2. We've come accustomed to sort of games from Chris. Jono chipping in with 3 steals as well. And a very quiet game from D-Lay, but I'm sure we'll see a lot different coming up.
No doubt.
Very solid game from Whiskey Toxic, from Relentless, 21 and 9 for him, with no real help coming from many other people.
No, there wasn't. Game 2, much the same, mate, with no way out, almost winning by 40 points, 37-point margin, 90-53, with Harry just a casual 10 points and 25 helpers. That would nearly be a record for a playoffs in ANZPL.
Yeah, it'd be getting close. And if you
Mm.
watch this game, you literally just see him take two dribbles up the court and just chuck it full court, and so someone will get open or chuck a shot up.
Yeah. And for Relentless, Whiskey Toxic, 17 and 8, leading the way for them, and not much else going on there. The next series, mate, we have Run the Break versus the Crayon. It's a sweep for the way of Run the Break. 2-0 game 1. We see them winning by 14 points, 69-55, with Brookers 27 and 12 from the PJ spot leading the way. Billy Blue with 14 and 9 and 2 steals. Danny as well with 2 steals, and Ranger with 11 and 3 from the sharp spot. I pass fake 34 and 8, but no real help anywhere else in game 1, Deadly.
Nah, not really. Yeah, just very solid game from Run the Break as a team, and see game 2 screenshot here, much the same with Billy Blue, a very astounding 30 and 20 stat line from him on perfect shooting. Very solid. Bet you 12 to 14 of those rebounds were offensive and just chucking it back up.
Yeah.
And yeah, we see for Crayons, pass fake again, did everything he could. Not much really to show for anyone else. Girk with a solid 13-8, 4 and 1 game. But yeah,
And
just
for those players that are watching this podcast that didn't make the finals, I would highly suggest you jump in the Twitch and watch some of these games, because it does step up a level, doesn't it?
yeah, absolutely. You see how the best of the best talk. It's
Mhm.
the best way to learn is by hearing the plays they're calling, the rotations, and how well they know each other's game styles and stuff like that. And yeah, just a very solid Run the Break team getting the series done here over probably one of the better point
Yeah, for
guards
sure.
in the game, pass fake, and one of the better centers, Girk. But yeah, just the better team prevails here.
I think so. Next, we've got Exie versus SWAT, and it's a series sweep the way of Exie 2-0. So we've got a game 1 spread here. Exie were winning by 10 points at halftime, 35-25, with Teeny for SWAT on 17 points at halftime on 83% shooting. Pretty spread for Exie there. No real standouts apart from Torby with 4 steals up to half. But then we see SWAT, they do come back and win the second half by 3 points, but ultimately fall short by 7 points. Game 2, we see Exie winning 55-41. Deadly. Anything standing out to you? You did watch this series.
Yeah, just the defense of their pick and roll of Lee and Ryland, very solid. They are one of the better PNR defenses in the comp. Lee's
Yep.
probably one of the better locks in the whole game. And yeah, it really shows here, holding mitts to 7 points, 6 TOs, 2 for 9 shooting. Very solid from him. 3 steals, 1 block for him, and 2 and 2 for Ryland. Just really shows that defense prevails for them. And they got their offense flowing from the defense.
Yeah,
Dollar
that's
was
right.
17. Lachlan with 13, 9 and 5, and 2 steals as well. Just outshone the SWAT team, who only really Pope was the standout with 18 and 15. Mitts had 12 helpers, but it just wasn't enough, unfortunately.
No, that's right. We move on here. Hooligans versus the Pals. Was there a bit of controversy in this one with AIs being played throughout the series?
Yeah, absolutely. This is probably the one of the more talked about series throughout the whole thing. This series, I reckon, went for, if you would add it all up, about 7 hours. It was ridiculous. We
Disgusting.
see game 1 here, probably about 5 lag outs before this, but we see a very solid 14-point win from the Powers in game 1. Max 20 and 5, Hamo with 15 and 1, Driz with 2, 8, 7 and 3, and Whitey with 3 steals of his own as well. Just outshone everyone on Hooligans. Key with 14 and 5, and Lucas grabbing 21 boards. But yeah, no real luck for Hooligans in the first game. But as we can see, they get a bit lucky towards the end of the series.
They do. So we see game 2 here, 55-52, the way of the Hooligans. So they take game 2 here with Rel Walken 20 and 4. The center there with 26 and 16 as well.
Yep, Lucas, yep.
Massive game. Max with 17 and 3, and not much else going on for the Pals there, with a lot of lag outs again. But game 3, we hear that the Pels finished with an AI, was it?
Yeah, so this game, as you can see here, you may think the Powers won, they won the series, but they played this full game with an AI, and this was actually played a day after games 1 and 2 were played. And if you go to the next screenshot, you'll see that game 3 there is from the day before. And so what they've done is Shake's PlayStation overheated the day before. He got banned. They had to come back play the game 3 the day after. So they started with Hooligans having a 3-point spread to start this game. So they played a full game. Hooligans had a 3-point spread. Shake lagged out again. Well, his PlayStation overheated again in the first quarter. And the Powers boys played the full game with an AI. They did come up with the win, but unfortunately, due to the spread, Hooligans advance.
Wasn't Ozark the one for Hooligans?
Yes, he still is, but he was unavailable most of this
Okay.
series. Yeah, so we have, I think it's Bill on Key's account. Yeah,
Gotcha.
playing point guard here. Yeah, 18 and 7 from him, very solid. Rel 11 and 5. Yeah, Croc double as well. Unfortunately for Powers, we see Hamo 11 4 and 3. He actually is playing sharp lock this series this game because Shake lagged out. Whitey was one of the better games I've seen from an anchor this whole year. 16
He
5
was
and 2.
everywhere.
It may not look like it, but my God, if you watch this game, he was unstoppable. He was really all over the Hooligans in this, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough to cover the spread, and yeah, the Hooligans advance.
That's right. We're not going to talk about it for 7 hours. Let's move on.
Absolutely.
Next series, we see Full Court Press versus the Pookie Bears. It's a series sweep for Full Court Press 2-0. Pretty close game, though, mate. The Pookie Bears nearly come back to take it in the end, outscoring Full Court Press by 6 points in the last quarter, but ultimately falling short by 4 points for the Full Court Press. Lillard with 31 and 6 from the PJ spot, leading the way. Micah got aura. We see the points per game leader for the season, only with 9 points, but an all-round team effort there. Sunsets with 10 and 14 at the center spot, and Euquatus with 3 steals and 2 blocks from the anchor spot. They're doing a really good job.
If I remember correctly, I think Lillard started out this game extremely hot. Like, I think he scored a good majority of those first half points that Full Court Press had. I believe he had 25 at halftime or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the separator. They had just too much of a hot start, and Pookie Bears couldn't claw it back enough.
Yeah, right. And then we see for Pookie Bears, Richie with 21 and 6 from the PG spot, and Range Sean with 5-11, 4 and 4 steals as well, and Heaney with 3 steals as well. Game 2, much the same, very close, but Full Court Press with a massive last quarter. Down 6 going into the last quarter, end up winning this by 3, 59-56. Lillard again, 27 and 6 from the PG spot. Sunsets with 10 and 17 and 4 steals. The lock, is that suspected there with 3 steals? Yep. The Pookie Bears just, I wouldn't say choked it, because Full Court Press did play well in that last quarter, but just couldn't bring home the win.
Pookie Bears absolutely had multiple chances to close this game out. Heaney only missed 2 shots from 3, and both ended up being game-tying shots within the last 30 seconds, and it's really unfortunate that the Pookie Bears go out that way, as they had a really solid season. Rich C with 15 and 7, Bandito 18 and 4, and Dirk Mitty, who I believe is Range Son. They always switch accounts. 12, 13 and 5. Really unfortunate for Pookie Bears, but they'll be back next season, and I'm keen to see how they go.
Absolutely. Next, we have Sans Duo versus D Tier, with D Tier taking this one. It goes the distance 2-1. So game 1, we see D Tier, winning 71-61. Lemons 20 and 4 with 3 steals from the sharp spot, shooting 50%. See Munted there, perfect shooting, 11 for 11 and 3 from 3 with 25 points. Beefin with 13, 7, 3 and 1. For Sans Duo, Greg Iverson, for those of you that know him as Dennis Phoenix, 16 and 15 from the PJ spot. Junkie with 16 and 2 steals. And that's about it for them in game one. Game two, it went the other way, mate. 12 points away from Sands Duo, Deadly.
Yeah, Dennis Phoenix having a great game here. 31 and 14 from him. Helped along by Cragger, 27 and 6 from him. That's a very solid scoring from their pick and roll. 51 points, so definitely take that. Junkie out the corner, another 12 with 2 steals and 2 blocks. Jamie as well with two steals. And yeah, the D tier team just couldn't get their shooting up, as we've come to know them as one of the better shooting teams and one of the better scoring teams from all different positions. Lemons again, 21 and 5, another solid game from him. Beefing with 20 and 2 steals out the corner. Factual with 12 and 9, but yeah, just wasn't enough in game two. But as we come to see in game three, it
Just
all
blew
came
them out
together
of the
for
water, didn't they? What was
yeah,
it, 29-25 at halftime? So relatively close, but a 37-21
yeah,
second half just blew it apart for the guys at D tier, with Hackaroo 15 and 14 from the one, Lemons 15 and 2 steals from the two, Munted with 3 steals, Factual with 18 and 14 as well. Just an all round good game for the guys at D tier, who
yep.
they've surprised us, but now that they're in finals, like they're no longer going under the radar. Teams are
Yeah,
watching these guys, and we've heard from some good plays in this league that this team could push your
that
X's
yeah.
and your no way outs this year.
I've heard people say that this D tier team. I've heard a couple people say they could win the whole thing. And
Hmm.
if you said that at the start of the season, that would have you're talking
Yeah,
crazy. But after watching a few of their games, I believe it. They're a very high tempo team. They like to push the pace a lot. They score quickly, try and defend. They're pressing you non-stop. And yeah, with a point guard like Hakaru, who's a very pass first point guard, likes to get his teammates involved, and someone on the hash like Lemons, and the two corners Munted and Beefin, they're both very score heavy. Uh,
hmm
their PNR defense is just as good on offense. They can score very highly, very quickly.
yeah, that's right. Mate, we move on to Ruthless versus Unknown. This is a series sweep the way of Ruthless 2-0. Game one, Ruthless win by 3 points. Gid with 18 and 11 from the one. Farage back at the center spot, 29, 4 and 2 steals. For Unknown, Will moving 17 and 8 on pretty good shooting, really. 6 of 11, 5 from 8 from 3. A fairly well spread effort there for the guys at Unknown, but unfortunately couldn't bring that one home. Game two, we see much the same. Ruthless by 11. Anything surprising for you in this one, or Ruthless was just the better team?
Yeah, I wouldn't say no real surprises here. It's just sort of Ruthless coming together and being the better team. It's just the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Gid again, 36 and 5 steals as a point guard is extremely solid. We see Pet with 12 from the hash, Akimra with 12 from the corner, Farage 10, 16 and 4. Just all solid performances from Ruthless as they beat Unknown by 11. Will Moven with 20 and 7, and X Delaney with 15 and 11. Probably the only real standouts for Unknown in this game. Yeah, just wasn't enough, and Ruthless move on to the next round.
This would be probably the earliest Unknown have been knocked out of a final series for quite a while.
Yeah, but they'll be back. They'll be back for sure.
100% they will be. So that brings us to the end of the first round, where we see a wrap up there. NZ Black lose to Cancun 2-1. Ruthless sweep Unknown 2-0. The Hooligans beat the Pals 2-1. DTR beat Sands Duo 2-1. And then we make our way across to the Eastern Conference. No way out sweep Relentless 2-0. Full Court Press sweep the Pookie Bears 2-0. Exy sweep SWAT 2-0. And Run the Break sweep the Crayons 2-0.
A lot of brooms on that Eastern Conference side. A lot of brooms coming out.
Isn't there? So we move on, mate. What have we got? Semi-final conference in
Game
the
one.
West.
Yep. Yeah.
Cancun, a game one win against
Game one.
Ruthless.
Another game one shocker. And Cancun again, just coming together, bit of team chemistry. Game one, King Laggy 22 and 3, super solid from him. I was watching this game, and yeah, he was lighting it up. I think his 4 other made field goals would have been mid ranges, just him fading away, and
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah.
just very versatile way to score. Just 3-level scoring from King Laggy. Cancun, we see the rest of them very solid games all around. Shot Moist 13 and 9, Simo with 12 and 3, G Force with another double double, which we've come to see from him. Uh, Ruthless are still a bit going on for them. Gid 18 and 9, Pet with 11 and 2, Kim with 15 again out the corner, and Faraj 15, 11 and 5. But yeah, just wasn't enough game one. But as we come to find out in game two, it all came together for Ruthless. They started out this very, very good. They were up 20 at one point, and yeah, we can see here Gid again 23 and 9, and Faraj 20, 11 and 5. Probably one of the better PNR offenses in the whole
100%.
league, and yeah,
And
when
talking,
they're on,
we were talking while this was on, and you actually said on our chat that after Cancun won game one, be wary of Ruthless bouncing back, and sure enough, within a couple of quarters, they're up 20, and as we can see with the next game, it was much the same, winning by 22 points, 71 to 49, with Gid again 17 and 9, Faraj 22 and 7, Fernandez with 15, 6 and 4 as well, but for the guys at Cancun, they'll be bloody stoked with this to make it through round one into the semi-final round of play. It's a massive improvement for them. And we see not just G-Force there, who had a pretty quiet game, but King Lag again, 22 points, Shot Moist. He's been a big improver too. Last year, I wouldn't have said that he struggled at the point guard position, but like when we're talking point guards in our server, you wouldn't have mentioned him in the top 10, but he's slowly making his way up there now with 7, 8, and 4 steals, 3 of 17 shooting, though. He'll be disappointed with that. And we see Simo, though, 8 and 7 as well. But those boys will be back, and their tails will be up for season 2, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just says enough about their playoff run that they had a little bit of a Cinderella story. You wouldn't have tipped them beating NZ Black, and even taking a game off Ruthless they'd be stoked with it, and I'm stoked for them. That's good going from Cancun, and they're one of the better teams coming into next season, especially if they can keep this sort of team chemistry and scoring up. Ruthless will move on to our conference championships, and yeah, it's no real shock that they won, but I think it's a bit of a shock that they had to lose a game to do it.
Yeah, that's right. We see here No Way Out versus Full Court Press. No real surprise here with No Way Out beating Full Court Press 2-0. Game one, we see Harry 13 and 14. Jono with 26. That's his best scoring performance of this season with 2 steals. Kristaps with 12, 17, and 6 as well from the center spot. Really, really solid. For Full Court Press, Lillard with 22 and 8, but not much else going on for the boys in game one for Full Court Press. Game two, we see an absolute blowout with No Way Out winning by 55 points, outscoring Full Court Press. What's that, 65 to 14 in the second half?
As bad as it looks there with that screenshot, there's not too much to take away. The Full Court Press boys it would have been probably 20 to 3 in that third quarter before.
Well, we can see at half time there, mate. It's 30 to 26.
Yeah, and yeah, they went down, I think, about 20 something. And yeah, they all actually quit out besides Equatus there. So it's a bit inflated how the scoring's there, and Equatus shot 5 for 20. He's just chucking up random shit towards the end. But yeah, it's just at the quit out, it's probably No Way Out. We're about 24 points up. So it's not too much to take from this, except they got them early, and yeah, Full Court Press they were done. They had enough.
Yep, and we see Harry there, 19 and 19, leading the way for the guys at No Way Out. D-Tier beat Hooligans 2-0. Hackaroo, 17 and 7, leading the way for D-Tier, who win this one 68-57. Lemons with 22, 5, and 3 steals again. He gets a lot of steals per game, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we saw he was in the top 5, I think, if we go back to our top 5 for steals per game. I think he was second.
I think he was second. Yeah, the 2 leaders in steals actually were shooting guards, and it just shows the power of the press and the bait. D-Tier are a very press-heavy team. I know they like to have Munted and Lemons sort of just press the point guard straight away, and either which way he goes, they'll try and blitz him, and they'll have someone play 2 down the back going the sharp. But yeah, Lemons gets a lot of bait steals, and 23, 5, and 3, just solid game from him.
We move on to game 2, where we see the Hooligans losing this one by 21 points, 64-43.
Yeah.
Not really much going on there for the Hooligans. They've done well to make it to week 2 of the semi-finals of season 10. Hackaroo 8-10, Munted 21, 2 and 2 steals, Beefing with 2 steals as well. Just a really good all-round game for the guys there at DTR. And again, will be ones to watch come conference finals week this coming week.
I think Hooligans will be decently happy getting to the second round, considering they had about 7 roster changes. If you look at the Discord, they've got free agent. There was a lot going on during their season, and it's pretty hard to make it to a second round of playoffs if you're changing your roster up that much. And I think they'll take that and they'll move into next year. Just a better team won this series.
Yep, I think so. We move into Exie versus Run the Break, and we see Exie winning this series 2-0, so a series sweep to Exie, but it was quite close, mate, with game 1. Defense rules, 46-43, the way of Exie. You watched this series, mate. What did you take out of it?
Yeah, defense ruled the whole series, if we're honest. Game 2 was pretty similar to this. We see Torbet Lee, 11 and 3 steals, and Gimpy for Run the Break getting 4 steals of his own. Not much shooting going on for either teams, and they just couldn't really get shots up, just the way the defense was going. And both these sides are very, very defensive heavy and very impressive the way they play defense. I think we actually have Billy Blue playing lock this series, which is a bit of a difference considering
Danny. Center.
Yeah, Danny wasn't available, so they had to play Billy at lock and showed out a little bit. Put Cheng on a bit of notice. 13 and 5 for Cheng on not ideal shooting, but it's not terrible.
No.
10, 7 and 4 from Lachlan, 10 and 15 from Clax. But there's not too much going on, like individual performance wise. Just
team defense.
You know how to close out it.
We see if we combine the 3-point percentages or the 3-point attempts to 3 points made for both teams, 14 for 40 in game 1. So that's unreal. That's under 30%, isn't it? And we see here in game 2, Exie win 54-47. So still defense being the number 1 ruler. Brookers 21 and 8 played really well for Run the Break, but not much else going on there. Clax 10 and 10 at the center spot. Jay Chang 22 and 6 from the PJ spot, shooting at 70% from the field, much better in comparison to game 1. We see Dollar struggling a little bit from the field, 2 of 10, 0 for 5 from 3, but ultimately he'll be happy with the team win. Lachlan 11, 5 and 5, and Rylan with 3 steals at that anchor spot, leading the way for Exie. Our final game. That was our final game.
That's our final game.
Eastern Conference semi-finals, Deadly.
Yeah.
So game 1 is No Way Out versus Exie. Do you want to talk us through the key players for each team?
Yeah, so we got the Eastern Conference finals coming up. Winner of this goes into the grand final, and these are probably the 2 standouts of the league going up against each other. No real shocks here. We see some of the key players there. Harry, if he's on, No Way Out are one of the most unstoppable teams, and he can change a game by himself. We see his playoff stats there of 16.8 points, 17.3 assists, and a steal per game. They're super solid, and if their whole team's on, they're unbeatable. Exie, the person who can change this series is Lachlan, in my eyes, because if he can shut down Kristaps and have one of the seasons that we know he can have, he had an MVP season a couple
he did.
2K ago, and he's one of the better centers in the whole comp, and playoff stats are 12.3 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, and a steal. If he can slow down Kristaps a bit, Exie will have a good chance here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I can't argue with that. I see this series going the distance.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think defense will prevail in this series. There won't be too much scoring.
No.
I'm thinking 2-1 No Way Out.
Yep.
They'll just be too good, too much class.
Yep, I agree with you there. Western Conference semi-finals. We see the surprise packet of the season, D-Tier, up against Ruthless. Lemons. So he is our key player. for
Yep.
D tier, mate. 18 points per game, 3.5 assists, 2.6 steals per game in the playoffs so far. Has really shone this season. Has sort of come from nowhere. Yeah, he was a really good sharp last year, but he's definitely elevated his
He
game
stepped
to
up.
the next level, even as much as to win our Insight Player of the Week a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Thanks to the guys at the Standard Squeeze for providing a great product for our Players of the Week. Farage, though, he is just one of the best players in the server. What's it going to take for D tier to stop him?
A lot, to be honest. But this, compared to the other game, I could see as being a very offensive heavy
Mm-hmm.
series. I think this also goes the distance. I think I got D tier winning 2-1, but God, it's close in my eyes. This is seriously one of the matchups of the season in my eyes, and it all really sits on, not to put the pressure on him, but it sits on Lemons. If he can perform to what we know he can perform as 18 points, 3.5 assists, 2.6 steals in the playoffs.
Mhm.
If he can do that, if not elevate it, D tier are going to be hard to beat, and I'm sure Gid will be trying his absolute hardest to defend him on the hash. But we've seen Lemons before. Every time he gets a point guard on him on the hash, he likes to pick it apart, and I think he'll definitely try and do it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I'm also picking D tier 2-1. It'll be an interesting watch this week to see how they do go when the pressure's on. And like, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see that there'll be hundreds of people in each person's stream this week watching these games. And grand final day, we will be bringing you that live here on the Insight Fantasy Sports Network, where we will be commentating the game and bringing you special comments from players, special play interviews. And we've also got international esports coaches coming on to the podcast to give a bit of an insight as to what it's like on the other side of the sticks when it comes to coaching. So you are not going to want to miss that. That's our wrap up anyway of what's going on. And that was brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead. If your rates are above 6.2%, looking at getting a loan or just looking to save some money, hit up Ryan from Astute Newstead. His link will be below in our description. The second best Mo on television, right behind Deadly. If you mention the word Insight when you hit him up for some coin, he will give you a discount on everything, as in not the money that you get from the bank, but his services will be absolutely free of charge. Thank you, Ryan. Now, grand final week, Deadly. We're looking at semi-finals will be played between Sunday and Wednesday this week.
Yep.
ANZPL will put out those games on Twitter and we will retweet them so that everyone's aware of when they're going on. And then grand final week will happen between Wednesday and Friday. We're anticipating that it's going to happen on the Friday night. If that is the case, we will be bringing you the commentary live from Friday night. We will be going live approximately half an hour before the game, because in a very first for the ANZPL and for esports basketball in Australia and New Zealand, we are going to be bringing you our Insight MVP for the season. That will be announced on grand final night. We will also be having the very first Insight Fantasy Sports All-Star team. So we will be having teams 1, 2, and 3. So you'll either be, well, there's 15 players, that will either be named in All-Star team 1, 2, or 3. If your name's mentioned in this, you go into the draw to win a prize pack, thanks to the guys at the Standard Squeeze. It's pretty nice what the Standard Squeeze are doing for us, isn't it, in promoting our local talent in the Australian New Zealand server and getting the name out there. And with a product like that, they're now an international product and have been retweeting, resharing all of our commentary that we've been doing, all of our 2K podcasts. And we've been getting followers from the US audience that have taken an interest in our leagues here.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't thank the Standard Squeeze enough for everything they do. They're the oldest sponsor of the Insight Show, and my God, they're good, aren't they? The products are good. They got a great hat on there, and
it's delicious.
Yeah, we can't thank them enough, and we appreciate everything they do for us and do for the community in Australia in any of these fantasy sports and 2K wise, anything like that. Supporting everyone, we much appreciate it.
That's right, mate. Have you got any final words before we knock off for the day?
That's about it. I'm still trying to wrap my head around who's going to win this grand final, because I seriously, out of these 4 teams, any of them can win it, I reckon.
It could, yeah. Yeah, it'll be.
It would not shock me if Exy beat No Way Out this week. It would not shock me if Ruthless beat DT. Other way around. Any of them can win it.
Let's say before you go, let's say that you're a punter, and we all know that you're not. Being the Punters Club Vice President of the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast, give us, if you had to, 4 teams and their odds right now, what would you say No Way Out are at the moment?
They'd probably be close to $1.60, $1.70 to win the whole thing.
Yep. Exy?
They got to get past them, so probably like $5-6. DT probably 4-5, something like that. Maybe $3.50, somewhere around that range. And Ruthless probably 5-6, something like that.
There's probably a chance you're not going to find these odds on Sportsbet or anything like that, but we're just playing it for a bit of fun, ladies and gentlemen. So
good luck. If you find them, message me. I'll happily get involved.
We'll get some multis up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do us for this evening. We are going to be streaming to live. It will potentially be Friday night, but we will get all access out to you in the Twitter sphere when we know exactly when we'll be going live. There'll be commentary, live commentary of each game. There will be interviews. There will be special guests joining us. You're not going to want to miss it. We will be streaming live to the rest of the world, where we will be having the Americans, the Canadians, people who play international esports basketball will be tuning in to see exactly how good our server is. We want to promote you guys as much as we can, and we can't thank you enough for putting on the show that you do. So for today, I'm the horse. This is Deadly. It's been a bloody pleasure, mate, and we'll see you grand final night. Take care.